So we continue the language of faith in John's Gospel. Symbolism we just looked at. There is this broad one called misunderstandings. It is a literary style that you observe in John's Gospel as he communicates faith. I'll just look through John 2:19 to 21. Let's just look at this. Jesus answered them, "Destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up." That's what Jesus told them. Destroy this temple, in 3 days I will raise it up. Then look at verse 20. The Jews then said, this temple, they were referring to the physical temple, this temple has been under construction for 46 years, and you will raise it up in 3 days? Misunderstanding. They misunderstood what Jesus said. Then Jesus in 21 adds a note of explanation, but he was speaking of the temple of his body. So you see how language, helps to communicate faith and helps to enrich. You have to know what is going on and not just err, but to get a better understanding. Let's look at another example. In John 4:31 to 34, this is what we're going to read this tomorrow. The woman at the well. This weekend's gospel. Meanwhile, the disciples were urging him, "Rabbi, eat something. Eat something." 32, but he said to them, "I have food to eat that you do not know." So they are talking about two different kinds of food. So the disciples misunderstood him, and at the end, there's an explanation. Jesus said to them in verse 34, "My food is to do the will of him who sent me and to complete his work." Okay? Continue. Now let's look at John's Gospel and that verb to believe. How John made use of that verb to believe. We see the first categorization, they believed. You don't know who those they are, the disciples, the crowd. So he groups a group of people and says, they believed. So let's look at some examples of they believed. John persuades the reader that Jesus, in John 2:11, Jesus did this, the first of his signs in Cana of Galilee, and revealed his glory. And that is the key. And his disciples believed in him. That's in John 2 at the wedding feast Cana in Galilee. So as soon as Jesus finished, changed that water into wine, the disciples who perhaps didn't believe before that happened are now considered they believed in him. And that ends that chapter 2 of John's Gospel. So when you read the Gospels, the meaning comes out mostly towards the end of the discourse or the pericope, the pericope. So at the end, the meaning comes out. So they believed in him is that climax. So the they. Okay? In John 2:22, after he was raised from the dead, his disciples remember that he has said this, and they too believed. So after something happened, it came to their minds. Then it's only after that they believed what the scripture said. 3. The father realized that this was the hour when Jesus has said, this is the official son, the royal official son in John's Gospel. So the father realized that was the hour Jesus had said, your son will live. So he himself believed along with his whole household. Okay? 7:31. Yet many in the crowd believed in him and were saying, when the Messiah comes, will he do more signs than this man has done? Okay. Another example, 8:30. And he was saying these things, and many believed in him. So the emphasis, something happened, it convinces, it reassures those who are hearing, and it leads to believe. And they believed in him. And many believed in him. 1042. 1045, many of the Jews, therefore, this is Mary and Martha, who had come with Mary and had seen what Jesus did, believed in him. After he raised Lazarus, they believe in him, okay? Since it was on account of him that many of the Jews were deserting and were believing in Jesus. 12:11. 12:42. Nevertheless, many, even of the authorities, believed in him. But because of the Pharisees, they did not confess it for fear they would be put out of the synagogue. Okay? 28. Then the other disciple who reached the tomb first, this is the resurrection, saw and believed. So he saw something, and whatever he saw provoked belief, and he believed. So that first section we just looked at talked about the day. A group of persons, something happens, and they believe. So belief is positive. Belief is something that, you see, but you have no other choice than to assent to what you have seen. All those examples we saw. Then we have another group in John's Gospel with a negative. The they don't believe. So it's not just everyone who believes in John. So there's also that group. Remember, we saw it in the prologue. Two contrasts with two worlds. The world who believe and the world that does not believe. So they did not believe. So in 7:5, for even his own brothers, people from his kindred, did not believe him. So believe as positive, believe as negative. 9:18, the Jews did not believe that he had been blind. This is the man born blind, and had received his sight until they called the parents of the man who had received his sight. The Jews did not believe. And you are not surprised to see this, because remember from the prologue, he already gave an indication. That, there are some people he came to his own, and his own did not accept him. His own did not believe. So we're already seeing it playing out among those who do not believe. In 12:37, although he had performed so many signs in their presence, unlike what we saw before, he kept performing, yet there are still the they who did not believe in him. Okay? In 20:25, another example, we have seen the Lord. This is Thomas. And Thomas says, unless I see the mark of the nails in his hands, and put my finger in the mark of the nails, and my hand in his side, negative, I will not believe. As Thomas, I will not believe. So we have seen two camps. Those who believe, based on evidence, and those who do not believe, all in John's Gospel. Another feature in John's Gospel is believing is progressive and continuous. So it's not just static. It's something that moves. And we use that today in talking about our own Christian faith. Any faith that is static is not good. Faith must grow. Faith must be dynamic. The faith that I had when I was 6 years old, 10 years old, is no longer the faith that I have now. I've matured more, I've grown. So that is the whole dynamism of faith. And John has something like that. Jesus answered, do you believe? Because I told you that I saw you under the fig tree, you will see greater things than this. This is in John 1:50. Are you just believing me now because I've said it? Come on. It is continuous. It must grow. In 2:22, after he was raised from the dead, his disciples remembered that he had said this, and they believed. It's only after. So it's continuous. It's something that moves. Okay? 669. We have now come to believe and know that you are the Christ. It's only now. In other words, we are no longer where we were before. We have now moved to see this stage now. We now believe. Yeah? 1630. Now we know that you know all things. Again, a sense of continuity. You know, affirming what came before as not up to standard. Now we know that you know all things and do not need to have anyone question you. By this we believe that you came from God. Okay? The disciples, this will summarize now everything about this so far. The disciples who are always with him believed repeatedly. Thus, to believe is not a once and for all thing, but steadfast, continuous, and ongoing in the Gospel of John. Okay? Now let's look at the chronology of the word believe. This one you have it listed in your paper, in your sheet. It's mentioned 43 times in the Gospel of John to tell you how important that verb to believe is for John's Gospel. Let's look at some of the examples, then you can go through the text yourself and see how he used them. In 1:7, we saw that in the prologue, he came as a witness to testify to the light so that all might believe. All might believe. This is John's evidence, John's testimony that all, so believing, invitation to all, might believe through him. And but to all who received him, 1:12, who believe in his name. So the whole thing is to see the sequence from John's Gospel from chapter 1 to the very end. That word to believe strikes a chord and it comes out in a sequence. To believe in his name. And look at all the examples. We're not going to read all of this, but you have it in your book, in your sheet. Take it home and see the sequence yourself and see the movement. Almost in every chapter, it comes on. 1, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Is that the end, Isaac?
No.
Okay. 13, 14, that's chapter 16, 17, 19, and 20. So you see, almost every chapter, has that word, that verb to believe. So that would be your homework to look through that. Salvation is given to those who believe in Jesus. And those who do not believe in him will be lost. So if you believe, salvation is yours. John emphasizes that. But those who do not believe on their own is what they have chosen. They are lost. Okay? Believing in Jesus brings true satisfaction. Let's look at one text that talks about that. This is another emphasis of John. We see this in tomorrow's gospel. I think it's just providential. It's coming in now. 4:10. Jesus answered this woman, if you knew the gifts of God and who it is that is saying to you, give me a drink, you would have asked him and he would have given you living water. So this woman, if we have time in the afternoon, it's in my notes, but we might not get to that, but I guess I can say it now. This is a woman that was looking for something more satisfying. This is a woman who had been married to 5 husbands, and the 6th one is not even her own, as Jesus told her in that discussion. And Jesus becomes the 7th man in the life of that woman. So Jesus had something more to offer her. And all of that. So this one clear example, give me you would have asked him and he would have given you living water. And of course, we know at the end of that discourse, the woman went home with something more. She went to the stream with a bucket to fetch mere physical water, but she went, with a bucket filled up with living water, that she became a fountain herself and shared that water with people, with the entire village, and they all came back. So faith as something more satisfying, faith as something, more nourishing. Okay? 4:14, the same woman. But those who drink of the water that I will give them will never be thirsty. The water that I will give will become in them a spring of water, gushing up to eternal life. The satisfaction that comes from faith. From mere physical water to more nourishing and satisfying water that only Jesus offers, the one who is calling us to faith. 6:35, Jesus said to them, I am the bread of life. Remember, we gave this as an example with the symbolism. Whoever comes to me will never be hungry. More satisfying. Faith in Jesus satisfies more in John. Will never be hungry. And whoever believes in me will never be thirsty. Never. So I have something deeper to offer. I have something more satisfying to give, if only you have faith in me. 7:38, and let the one who believes in me drink, as the scripture has said, out of the believer's heart shall flow rivers of living water, more enduring, the fruit of having faith. The fruit of having faith. Okay? 20:29. Jesus said to him, this is Thomas, have you now believed because you have seen me? Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have come to believe. And yet believe. So in John, we cannot separate believing in Jesus from believing in God. We saw that from the beginning, from the prologue too. So Jesus and God, you cannot separate the two of them. Okay, let's see some examples. But if I do them, even though you do not believe me, believe the works, so that you may know and understand that the Father is in me and I am in the Father. So Jesus and God. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So it's plain out now. You can't separate. So to believe in Jesus is to believe in God. In 14:1, do not let your hearts be troubled. Believe in God. And also do what? Believe in me. Also in me. Jesus, God, one. The whole idea of the Trinity. Another example. Do you not believe that I am in the Father? That's 14:10. Do you not believe that I am in the Father and the Father is in me? God the Father, we are one. The words that I say to you, I do not speak on my own, but the Father who dwells in me does his work. Do you not believe that? 16:27. For the Father himself loves you because you have loved me and have believed that I came from God. Believe that I came from God. In John's Gospel, people believe for a reason. People believe for a reason. So let's see some examples. 150. Jesus answered, do you believe because I told you I saw you under the fig tree? You will see greater things than these. You will see greater things than this. Don't just believe because I said I saw you under the fig tree, but you will see greater things than this. The example we took before in 2:11, Cana in Galilee. Jesus did this sign, the first of his signs in Cana in Galilee, and revealed his glory. And what happened? His disciples believed in him. So they believe for a reason. Something happens and it leads people to believe. In 2:23, when he was in Jerusalem during the Passover festival, many believed in his name. Why did they believe? Because they saw the signs that he was doing. So in John's gospel, believing because something I have seen, because something provoked my belief. 4:48, Jesus said to him, unless you see signs and wonders, so you will not believe. So in other words, people want to see signs and wonders to evoke belief. And that confirms what they believe. 6:30, so they said to him, what sign are you going to give us then so that we may believe it and believe you? What work are you going to perform? Seeing is believing. I think we use that as a phrase today, isn't it? That's similar to what John is saying here. So people believe for a reason, they see something, and it confirms their belief. 7:31. Yet many in the crowd believed in him and were saying, when the Messiah comes, will he do more signs than this man has done? So believing an account of something that you see. 11:45. Many of the Jews therefore who had come with Mary and had seen what Jesus did, have seen what Jesus did, believed in him. Okay? 28. Then the other disciple who reached the tomb first also went in. He saw and he believed. So people believing for a reason, for something they see in John's gospel. I don't know if I can stick.
Yeah,
okay. I think I will pause here. Examination of particular tests. After lunch, what I want to do, I will take 1 or 2 tests from John's gospel, a chapter. Then we shall look at it and see how does this particular discourse or test from John show a journey or a movement to faith. So we'll do that after the break, and I won't talk for too long so that if you want to have questions, I mean, I'm sure you have questions, you write out your question. We'll spend the last time of the afternoon looking at questions. Okay? So I think we can stop.
This says questions for Father Victor.
Okay.
So if I leave that there and there's a red basket there,